Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Chino Hills Candidates Forum, sponsored by the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. This forum is being filmed tonight with funding generously provided by the Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of this forum is to allow voters an opportunity to learn more about the candidates running for office. This evening, we are here to meet the candidates running for Chino Hills City Council. It is our goal that the information provided this evening will assist voters in making more informed decisions as they cast their votes. I am Will Fleet. I'm publisher of Champion Newspapers, and we're proud members of the Chino Valley Chamber. I have the privilege of serving as moderator this evening. Eric Hasanoff, to my right, chairman of the board of the Chino Valley Chamber, will serve as your timekeeper. We ask that everyone in the audience refrain from applause or any disruptive outbursts, please. The format for this evening includes a 2-minute opening statement from each candidate, followed by a question and answer session. Each candidate will then be given 1 minute for closing statements. The 3 candidates who are running to serve on the District 4 seat for the City Council this year, and we are fortunate to have all 3 of them with us this evening. I would now like to introduce the candidates in the order they are seated. By the way, the candidates drew numbered lots earlier this evening to determine the seating arrangements. Starting on the audience's left is Rosanna Mitchell Arrieta, and in the middle is Brian Joes. And on your right is Gabriel DeLuna. It should be noted that Mayor Peter Rogers and Councilman Ray Marquez are running unopposed this year, and that's why we don't have them participating in the forum tonight. So, the opening statements can be 2 minutes or less. The answers to the questions later will be 1 minute or less. Our timekeeper here, Eric, will keep you informed of the time remaining via the blue, green, yellow, and red cards. Once you see the blue card, hold that up, Eric, you have 60 seconds remaining. When you see the green card, you have 30 seconds remaining. Yellow card, 10 seconds remaining. And the red card is wrap it up. If you are in the middle of a sentence, you can finish your sentence, but please respect the times. Okay, well, let's get started with the opening statements. Mrs. Mitchell Arrieta.
Hello, my name is Rosanna Mitchell Arrieta, and I'm running for City Council in the 4th District. I've been a resident for the past 25 years, and I've raised my children here, and now my grandson, Michael, will be raised here. My daughter just moved to Chino Hills, and that makes me so happy. Being a grandmother is just one of the greatest gifts, and I can't even express how happy I am about that. I've been committed to civic leadership in this community for the past 20 years, and I know most of you who are sitting here. And from the first Healthy Cities Committee Steering Committee, or first Healthy Cities Steering Committee, to petitioning for our first dog park in our city. And it's been a real exciting adventure here in Chino Hills, and I look forward to continuing to have adventures here regardless of whether I get elected or not. And although I will be representing the 4th District, I understand the symbiotic relationship we need to have with the other council members, and we need to continue to remember that. And most of you who know me, I don't miss words. I just go right to it and I just tell you how I feel. So I'm just going to do that. And I got it down to like 3 points, maybe 4. So 1, Tres Hermanos should never be developed. It should be left alone. We need to preserve our openness. To develop it would be a sin. And also negative ramifications would come out of that, like more traffic. Second, we must resolve our traffic issues. We must do more. I hate to ask the residents what will happen if there's an emergency. Do we have a plan to evacuate the south of Chino Hills? And last, we need to do better in Los Serranos neighborhood. They feel they're the stepchild. I've walked that neighborhood. We need to do better. They should not wait 3 more decades to get their improvements. And I'll wrap it up because I got the red car. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph.
All right, thank you, and good evening. Thank you to the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, and thank you to the residents that are here, and thank you to the residents watching on TV. Like all of you, I love this community. The 4th District is where I chose with my wife to raise our family. This is the community that we're invested in. I'm proud to be involved in community groups throughout my years living here and prior to running. Everything from the board of directors for the board of directors for the YMCA to the board of directors for the Rancho del Chino Rotary Club to volunteering for Little League and Cub Scouts. Yeah, I'm out there with all of you in the 4th District. It's been an honor to serve you on the city council and being twice elected by the voters of Chino Hills to serve on the Chino Valley Fire District Board of Directors and serving for a year as president. I really got to know what makes our wonderful community run. During my time on the council, I'm proud of the progress that we've made in the 4th District. Construction has begun on the Los Serranos Park, the first city park in Los Serranos, and that shows a $2 million commitment from the general fund to that community. We've improved infrastructure. Streets that never had sidewalks or streetlights now have them. And our city has a healthy budget. It's balanced. We have reserves. We have so many neighboring cities that are going to the voters for tax increases. You're not going to see that in Chino Hills. And as you've been reading in the paper lately, we're equipping our deputies with new technology to help them better patrol our cities and do a better job. My priorities, they'll continue to be public safety and keeping our neighborhood safe, which is why I'm the only candidate endorsed by the Deputy Sheriff's Association and the Firefighters Association. I want to ensure your tax dollars are spent wisely, and I will oppose tax increases. And I will continue to scrutinize projects and hold developers accountable and hold them to tough standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeLuna.
For those of you that don't know me already, my name is Gabriel DeLuna, and I've lived here since 2003. I purchased my first home in the Los Serranos neighborhood when I was a bachelor. I chose this city because it felt safe and it fit my budget. I could have lived in other cities, but they didn't have the same feel of Chino Hills. I met my wife, Cindy. We dated and eventually got married in 2006. There was a time when we considered moving to other cities, but again, the feeling we got from other cities was not the same as Chino Hills. Fast forward to now, we have 3 kids, and 2 of them attend the school right behind our backyard fence. My wife is the vice president of the parent-teacher organization, and I support her in the ways that I can. So my main job is as a husband and a father. I'm also a son, a grandson, an uncle, a brother, and many other things. After all of that, there's the work that I do as a wealth advisor, which is just a fancy title that means I educate people on what to do with their money and how to use it wisely for their own household. Why am I here? I'm here because my friends and neighbors have asked me to step up to the plate. My fellow residents have said that my heart is in the right place and that I am the right person to represent our district and our city. Over the past few months, I have talked with hundreds of you, and I agree that right now is the right time to take on this challenge. Right now, it is time for someone new. Let's all work together and take care of this beautiful city we call Chino Hills.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we move on to the question and answer segment, we want to correct something earlier. I think I misled you. We do have a 4th candidate who is not with us tonight. His name is Ronald Eaton. And then the other item would be a housekeeping item. We'd like to ask everyone, if you haven't already, please turn off your cell phones. So we move on to the question and answers. To encourage candid responses, the candidates have not received advance notification of the questions that we will be asking this evening. The questions are a combination of those received in advance from the community and chamber members, and those prepared by members of the chamber's legislative committee. Each question will be asked of all three candidates. The person answering first will rotate after each question. You will have up to 60 seconds, 1 minute, to answer each of the questions. And as we did earlier, please watch the cards to help you stay on track. So we will begin with the first question, and we will direct it to Brian Joes. What are your top 3 goals you wish to complete for the city of Chino Hills, and how will you accomplish them?
Well, I think my top 3 goals are continue to be ensuring public safety in our city. We've seen the really just detrimental effects of Assembly Bill 109, Props 47 and 57, and they're releasing criminals back onto our streets. So ensuring our deputies are properly equipped is a goal. Not having to go back to you, the taxpayers, for a tax increase is another goal. I think we certainly can live within our budget. We do now. We have healthy reserves. And then also another goal would be to really scrutinize projects that are going to be proposed in our part of town. We've been, because of the actions of prior councils, we've been really impacted with high density housing, and we really need to be critical of any movements going forward.
Thank you. Mr. DeLuna, your top 3 goals.
After talking with residents, I would say that one of the big things that needs to be worked on is communication between the residents of our city and the city itself. We're all communicating in different ways, both online and offline these days. So there is a connection that needs to be improved between us, the residents, and the city. Of course, the second item would be that the city should be fiscally responsible and continue to use money wisely. And overall, I do want to always put safety first. When we're making decisions and talking about items that are going to benefit the city and its residents, let's put safety first and have that as a main consideration.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta.
Yes, my first goal would be to address the issue of Tres Hermanos. I think that's a critical issue, and everyone seems to be sort of wondering what's going to happen, when's the next shoe going to drop. So I would, if I was elected, I would have a meet and confer with all the council members and discuss the possibilities of changing what we have in place. We do not need any more development. We have enough traffic. It's going to be chaotic if we do that. It's going to change the flavor of Chino Hills the way it is now in that area, and I think it's wrong. So that would be my first thing, is try to do something about it. Let's turn it into a park. Let's talk about turning it into a park, make some money. We can do that. Second thing I would do is address the issues of improvements in Los Serranos. Make them a priority. For the first time in 30 years, make them a priority. They shouldn't have to wait for funding. They shouldn't have to wait for funding to get help. And the third thing I would do is address the traffic issues. We got to do more traffic studies. We need to develop ways we're going to address emergencies south of Chino Hills.
Thank you.
And, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the second question now, and we will start with Gabriel DeLuna. The question is, what specific steps are you going to take to increase safety in Los Serranos?
In Los Serranos specifically, a lot of people still have to walk down the street because there aren't curbs or there aren't sidewalks. So in Los Serranos, we really need to concentrate on bringing it up to the same standards as the rest of the city, where we can walk down the sidewalk, where we can cross the street safely. And of course, we want to have this be a balanced approach. We want to use the money wisely, but just by putting in the curbs, sidewalks, street lights, we can really improve the overall safety and have it be just as safe as other parts of the city.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell Arietta.
Thank you. That's an interesting question because when I was walking just recently, I was approached by residents and they were talking about actual video surveillance in the streets. And I actually think that's a very good idea. And they were telling me how there's this company that can do it and they wanted to bring it up to the city council. And I indicated to them, do it. I think that's a great idea. That would be one approach. And of course, funding is always important when it comes to the sheriff. So we want to make sure we have enough. I understand from what I know, there isn't enough. Even with the funding we do, there still isn't enough surveillance by our sheriff. So I think that's critical. So I would definitely address those two issues at Los Serranos.
Thank you. So now we will move on to the third question, and we will go back to you, Mrs.
I don't get a
Mitchell.
chance to answer that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. My apologies. You look like you were just nodding, so
No
I
worries,
apologize.
well, that's fine, I get that. To answer the question, I'd have to disagree with Ms. Mitchell Arietta. I've been on ride-alongs with our deputies in Los Serranos. It is a priority. Our deputies work hard to patrol that neighborhood. They know the problem areas. They work on that. But to really focus on safety, the city has a plan. The city's been working on the streets. They've been working on gutters. They've been working on sidewalks. We've invested $20 million in recent years there. And yes, there is a lot that still needs to be done. But there, you can see sustainable, changes. I've talked to residents there that say, hey, you know what, this is great. Only half of our street now has a sidewalk or has streetlights, but we never had that before. We're making progress and we'll continue to make progress. Our city focuses on Los Serranos more than any other neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will move on to the third question, and Mrs. Mitchell Arietta. The question is about Tres Hermanos. The property has been in recent contention by people in Chino Hills, Diamond Bar, and the City of Industry. What is the value of this land at Chino Hills, and what should we do with it?
What is the value? You can't put a value to Tres Hermanos. It is a beautiful, beautiful area that needs to be left alone. You can't put a value to it. And all the litigation is, quite frankly, a waste of tax dollars. And that's where I'll leave it. But to respond to Mr. Joe's, because I was at the Los Serranos improvement meeting along with him. And the city manager said, it's gonna take 30 years to finish the other side of the sidewalk on the streets. 3 decades before that is addressed. So if Mr. Joe's want to sit here and tell me that they're doing everything they can in Los Serranos, that is completely, I'm sorry, a misrepresentation. So I just put that there. Thank you.
The Tres Hermanos question, Mr. Joes.
Thank you. To piggyback on that, when Ms. Mitchell Arietta was on the council 14 years ago, Los Serranos wasn't a priority to her back then. So to now come back and say 30 years into the future, I'm sorry. But to go back to the Tres Hermanos
I was
question.
only there 8 months.
With the city
It's
making
Mr. Jones' time.
Thank you. The city is making progress with our partners in our lawsuit. We've taken action. It's not a waste. It is not a waste of your money. If anything, we've made great progress. I can't speak more because I'm on council and we're actually in the midst of litigation. But I value the open space. She is correct. There is no value that you can't put on that. It is invaluable. And that's why the council has made it a priority, and that's why we're working on saving Tres Hermanos. Thank you.
Mr. DeLuna.
Tres Hermanos is part of our overall identity. You can simply look at our seal, you can look at pictures of Chino Hills. It's part of us overall. To change that would be changing Chino Hills to something that it is not currently as of right now. We really need to do our best to keep it as close to how it is right now as possible. I think in all of my discussions that I've had with people, they really feel that keeping it this way is the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, we start with Mr. Joes. City officials have stated that Chino Hills is nearing build-out. In the meantime, as Chino Hills continues to develop, what can you do, if reelected, to mitigate related traffic and residential congestion that goes along with this growth?
You know, it's a great question. I think all of us, you know, we see the traffic in our community. You know, with a healthy economy, we see our residents are out there, they're commuting, they're working, and to add additional housing will certainly have an impact on that. But we need to be critical of new projects. We need to make sure that they actually will work well with the existing communities. You know, whether our city council, you know, prior city councils placed a lot of high-density housing into the south part of town. We need to make sure we stick to the general plan, watch what we're doing, and continue to be a backstop for a lot of these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuna.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. City officials have stated that Chino Hills is nearing build-out. In the meantime, as Chino Hills continues to develop, what can you do, if elected, to mitigate related traffic and residential congestion that goes along with this growth?
I really believe that comes back to a matter of communication with our residents and communication with the people that live here. The residents have said that they were really surprised by a lot of the building that was done here recently. And as you said, we are getting to the point where we're almost built out right now. But I think we need to communicate both what's needed on a city level, state level, but also what's needed from our local residents so that we can work together and find common solutions that will benefit everyone.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta?
Yes, for years I've been saying stop building houses, stop relying on the developer fees. But the city keeps building. And as we see, we do have a traffic problem south of the hills in the 4th District. And it's a nightmare for those residents. And the council made those decisions. So are we sticking to the general plan? No, we are not sticking to the general plan. In fact, in Tres Hermanos, currently the zoning is residential, commercial, high density. So how does that coincide with the general plan? It does not. So somebody tell me something I don't know, because I'm currently just putting it out there, because as I said, I just put it out there and I just say how it is. We need a strong commercial base, like the city of Chino. Let's try a little harder. I know you guys are doing your best, but we gotta do better, because at the end of the day, we're gonna be in build out. What are you gonna do for fees? How are you gonna pay for the lighting and landscaping? We won't be able to do it.
Thank you. So the next question, we will start with Gabriel DeLuna. And the question is, because the state is increasing the number of required RHNA units, where should these very high-density projects be built? Or should we as a city oppose the increase?
I definitely think that we need to oppose the increase. At one of the recent city council meetings, I heard that there are other options, that there's ways that we can make trades with other cities so that we do not have to take on more density. That's really going to be one of the things that will change our city from here on out. And I really think that we're at a turning point right now. If we keep building and we keep having higher density, it's going to create more problems, and all of us know that. So we need to do everything we can, look at all possible solutions, even if it's outside of the box that we can currently see right now.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta?
Yes, it's a difficult task, I know, for a council person to address these issues, and I put a lot of thought into that, but I believe that our community is growing in age. I mean, I'm in the 55 plus club now, and I think one way to address it is perhaps talking about developing more senior communities. Where can we put a senior community? Because that would meet some of our requirements. So we gotta be thinking out of the box. And we are in a position right now to provide more senior communities, more facilities for them, living assisted places. I don't know, but my understanding is that would be a great approach, especially since we're all like, I believe, 50 plus at least. So.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Sure. Because the state is increasing the number of required RHNA units, where should these very high-density projects be built? Or should we as a city oppose the increase?
Well, I think, to meet our arena numbers, we need to go, it needs to go through the general plan again. We need, if we are gonna look at building them, we do need to get full public input on this. This is, it's vital to our residents to get their input if it's even something that's wanted. The state is gonna continue to place more and more restrictions on us as they continue to do. The city's opposed additional increases that Sacramento's been looking to place on us. So I think if anything were ever to be built, it needs to be done with full city input or full residential input. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we will start, this question will start with Rosanna Mitchell-Arietta. And the question is, how many times have you previously run for elected office? When and which office and results? What's the history?
Okay, well, I can't remember how many times. I'm not gonna sit here and count them on my hand, but I have run several times. And the reason being is because I've been unhappy with some of the decisions the city council has made. Unfortunately, when I was on the council, I was only able to serve 8 months, so I could not make a huge difference in 8 months, Mr. I could not make a big difference. So I'd like to make a difference. I'd like to give my input as to my ideas. I think that I can help the city move forward in a direction perhaps no one thought about. So regardless of how many times I run or how many times someone runs, the bottom line is what's your commitment to the community? My commitment is there, always has been for 25 years.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, I've run twice. Twice I've been the top vote getter, so thank you to the voters of Chino Hills. I ran twice for the Chino Valley Independent Fire District Board of Directors. I enjoyed my time there. I served as president and I think made a big impact on public safety. And in reference to Ms. Mitchell-Arietta's 8 months, yeah, it was hard to make an impact in those 8 months, especially when you miss 4 meetings. So,
I remember, Mr. Joseph, or is that like gossip?
It's called the minutes and the agenda.
Oh,
so,
really? And you looked at them?
Sure.
And who provided them to you?
That's it.
Okay, that's interesting, Mr. Joseph.
Let's move
I
on.
don't look into your record, and I won't.
Let's move on.
It's city council. Thank you.
Is that it? Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I thought we were gonna be nice.
Mr. Deluna.
The question was regarding running for public office.
Yes, how many times? What's your history there?
I'm an outsider. I'm coming from the outside. This is brand new. But again, I'm running for the right reason, and that's because I want to represent the people that are attending here, the people that are putting their kids to bed, the people that have to drive an hour or more to get home. So I'm here to represent you. And again, I'm doing it for the right reason.
Okay, thank you. So the next question will start with Brian Joes. And the question is, with the city being arranged into council districts, can you work with the rest of the city council to get their vote to support issues specific to the 4th district?
I certainly hope so. All 4 of them have endorsed me. So I think it's really a shame that we were forced into this, that we were threatened with lawsuits to force us into these little neighborhoods. You know, our city has big problems and we need big solutions to solve them. But I know that I'm well able to reach across district borders and talk to my council members, colleagues, and actually get things accomplished. So I look forward to continuing working with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuna.
The question was regarding cooperating with council members.
to get support issues specific to the 4th District.
I've already been in contact and have been communicating with the council members regarding different items in respect to District Number 4 specifically. What I'm very happy with is that they are very responsive and want to help in any way that they can. I think that's something that is very beneficial as far as working together as a city. And I believe that in many ways, I can help to continue to work together with the council members, just like I helped get a crosswalk put in my local neighborhood right next to the elementary school. It took, a little bit more than 7 months, but in city terms, that was rather quick. So thank you.
In government terms, yes. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta.
Yes, I think what the neighborhood of Los Serranos needs is a voice, and they don't have one. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who live in Los Serranos work hard. They're very busy. Obviously, they're not here. I only see a few from the 4th District. And so what I can offer is a voice, and also education. I'm a business owner, educated. I'm an attorney. I would specifically look into funding and also speak and work closely with the city manager, because I think that's where it comes from, and I think everybody knows that it's the city manager who brings things forward to the council, and the council considers them. So my job would be to do my homework, to see what I can do to bring out some creative direction, where perhaps we can get some funding, additional funding for Los Serranos. I think it's great that the park was put in there, but let's face it, it's a park. We need sidewalks. It's important to have sidewalks. So I believe that my qualities as a person would help make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with Gabriel De Luna. The toxic cleanup site known as the Aerojet property will shortly, or is already approved for development. What are your thoughts on the Aerojet property?
In regards to this property specifically, I think a common sense approach would be to proceed with caution. Let's really make sure that it's safe. As I mentioned, we should always put safety first. If it's gonna benefit the community, then let's go through all the proper steps and make sure that it's going to work out well. But if there is any inkling that it's not going to be a safe decision, it just makes sense not to proceed.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta.
Yes, I'm completely opposed to anything being built at Aerojet. It's very disturbing, some of the information that came out in some of the studies of what is there in that particular land. So I would be completely opposed to it. Period.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Ditto. Just so the public knows, the State Department of Toxic Substances is the agency that goes through and really studies these types of areas. And I know that they're going to be looking in with another survey of the property before anything was to go forward. But we need to be very cautious with anything, and I would have a hard time agreeing to development there. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, we will start with Rosanna Mitchell-Arietta. And the question is, does your business, firm, or agency have any direct contracts or provide services to the city of Chino Hills?
No, thank God. No. I've seen that happen with a school board member, and he got in trouble. And I know we do have a contract with, I believe, the candidate Joe's, and I believe he has a contract with his employers. So that's a little, in my opinion, right there. It's just right on the border. Shouldn't do it. Period. And quite frankly, it was something that I would address if I got on the council, that we should have some policy where we shouldn't get our employers involved in making money. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Joes?
Yeah, as you heard, yes, I do. My employer does have a contract with the city that was in place prior to my coming onto the city council. Thankfully, this is an area that the state attorney general and the courts have made settled law. So I am positive that every action that I take follows the law regarding that. We had an item come up regarding the contract. I walked away from the dais. I stated my conflict as per Attorney General's guidelines. Not an issue. I don't discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeLuna?
My company or anything connected to my company has no conflict of interest when it comes to Chino Hills. You can know that by voting for me and electing me to the city council that I'm going to put the city and its residents as its forefront, and there isn't going to be any hidden agenda of any sort of looking to benefit the company that I work for.
Okay, thank you. The next question, we will start with Brian Joes, and the question is, what is your knowledge of the Chino Hills specific plan and its relationship to development?
Well, thankfully, my year plus on the city council, I've been able to delve definitely into the plan, to general plan, to every facet of our city's operations. You know, it gives me the experience to be able to, you know, if elected, to hit the ground running. It's those types of documents with public input that really shape our city. So I'd encourage residents, when we do update these items and when updates do come before the city council, to please show up and make your voices heard. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. DeLuna?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. What is your knowledge of the Chino Hills specific plan and its relationship to development?
The specific plan for Chino Hills was set up many years ago, and it was organized in a very proper way. But as I have mentioned before, what we really need is to be able to communicate that to our residents and let them know what is actually in that plan. I looked at the plan today, just a few hours ago, and it's many, many pages long. It would take quite a lot of time for each person to read through it, and what we really need is to have a communication of what it says so that we could understand it together and be able to work on it together. And we really don't need all the high density building.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell-Arrieta.
Thank you. Well, history is important, and I think that sometimes we forget history. And, you know, we incorporated as a city, and part of our general plan was to maintain the open space. And for the most part, we've done that. But I feel like we're losing our general plan. South of Chino Hills is clearly an indication that we're not going with the general plan. I don't see any rolling hills between some of those apartments and homes. And so it's a different look altogether. It's an Irvine look. That's south of Chino Hills. So I believe we've walked away from it, and it's sad because there's nothing more we can do about it other than address the issues now, which is traffic. So I believe that it's important to keep our history and remind ourselves why we incorporated, what is it exactly we wanted to do when we came to the city. And the openness is so beautiful in the hills, and that's part of Tres Hermanos. So we really need to try to keep it. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Gabriel DeLuna will get the first crack at the next question, which is, describe your transportation planning experience regarding regional mobility and sustainable community strategies.
What a very complicated question. Could I ask for that question in plain English?
I have the question here. I didn't create these. So.
I say that because that's a difficult question. What I'm going to gather from that is that related to the traffic that we have here in the city, my experience with that is actually driving through the city myself, and then understanding also the public transit that we have going through the city. The main point I'll make is that we just need to be able to understand what the current needs are, and also understand how it's going to change as things get busier and busier going into the future. We all want to get where we're going safely, and let's work together on that.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta.
Can you repeat the question? I
Sure.
forgot the second
Sure,
one.
we'll
I
all
got
have
the first
fun with
one,
that again,
regional
yeah.
mobility. Okay.
Describe your transportation planning experience regarding regional mobility and sustainable community strategies.
Thank you. Well, I think that a lot of people don't know this, but city of Chino Hills is sort of like a pass-through city, that we get commuters coming from all different counties going right through Graham. And we do get funding, but I don't believe we get enough funding to address the issues on the 71 freeway, to address the issues of the traffic that we're dealing with. So I believe we need to lobby our state and federal legislatures to get going on that. We need to say, wait, enough is enough. We're not getting what we should be getting, because the traffic we're getting is not from our city. It's coming from everywhere else. And I do believe, and I remember former Councilwoman Gwen Norton Perry raised that issue. And I think that's something we should look into and do what we can, because I don't think we can do it alone. We need the state and the federal to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
All right, regarding transportation planning, I'm not a transportation planner, but I have attended many of our SCAG meetings. So SCAG is the federally mandated regional transportation and growth agency. They kind of set the guidelines, and they set the federal transportation plan. That is the document that outlines how, as a region, we grow. So they sit there and they'll say, hey, San Bernardino County, you're responsible for this, and through San Bernardino County, through the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, these are what you need to do with regional projects. And so I've got experience with that. And then regarding sustainable communities, which was the second part of the question, sustainable communities are essentially the federal term for what we're seeing now in a lot of places, with high density housing, with commercial up top, high density housing on bottom, trying to put housing close to transportation hubs. That's the, I imagine the question, the basis behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. We will start with Rosanna Mitchell-Arietta on the next question. How long have you lived in District 4 as your permanent primary residence? Whether you're elected or not, will you remain in District 4, or will you seek office in another district?
Okay, since this is specifically to me, I don't think it pertains to the other two candidates. So as for me, I've lived in the city of Chino Hills now for 26 years. I sold my home. I ended up in the 4th district because I bought another horse property, which is being reconstructed. If elected to the city of Chino Hills, I plan to stay in the 4th district because my commitment to the city is stronger than moving out of the district because I want to live in a nice house. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what district you're in. If you live in the city of Chino Hills and you're committed to the city of Chino Hills, that's all that matters. So you vote for me, you vote your voice, because I will be your voice for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Hi. I've lived in our first home for 9 years, and the entire time has been in the Fairfield Ranch neighborhood of the 4th District. I think it's important to have somebody that has the experience that I run into people at the grocery store. I run into people from church in the neighborhood. I run into people at our parks. My kids go to Wickman Elementary. We're based in the 4th District. We're based in that community. Whether you live in Torrey Pines, or you live in Pinehurst, or you live in Los Serranos, I know the neighborhood. I'm not new to it. I will continue to fight for it, and that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuna.
The whole time I've lived in Chino Hills, I've lived in what's now the 4th District. I chose to live here rather than somewhere else. My very first home in Los Serranos didn't have a curb or a sidewalk in front of it, and my current house in Los Serranos still doesn't have a sidewalk in front of it. My 3-year-old can't ride her tricycle in front of my house because there's no sidewalk there. So I've lived through it. I've talked with my neighbors. I've reached out and asked them what they want. And that is one of the main reasons why I'm representing the 4th District and going through all of this to get elected.
Thank you. We will start out with Brian Joes on the next question, which is, what are your ideas to overcome the landscape and lighting deficit, and how will you equalize the disparity for those who haven't paid into the fund?
Now, that is the $10,000 question, isn't it, for the city? The landscape and lighting district, for the folks that don't know, the landscape and lighting districts are individual districts throughout most of the city, and each landscape and lighting district has a separate taxing rate, and a lot of the districts now are upside down, and we're taking money, frankly, from the general fund to make up the difference. What we need to do is we need input from the public. We need the public to be engaged, because it's going to ultimately come down to, do you want to raise your rates or don't you? Do you want to continue paying from the general fund for the status of your landscape and lighting issues within your district, or don't you? You know, ultimately what it comes down to is how much service do you want to pay for, and how much do you think you can afford? It's not sustainable to keep paying millions of dollars out of the general fund. It's a big issue that the city's gonna have to tackle in the near future.
Thank you. Mr. DeLuna,
The question again, please.
what are your ideas to overcome the landscaping and lighting deficit, and how will you equalize the disparity for those who haven't paid into the fund?
When it comes down to it, I believe this is a budget question, and in my line of work, I deal with this type of question all the time. When it comes down to a budget type question, we need to talk about it together, and I would say that if residents know about what's going on regarding the landscape and lighting, we can really find out an answer to this together. What are the different solutions that we can work on? And one of the things that I can think of is let's send a survey to these residents that might be affected by the landscape and lighting district. And frankly, why can't we just have a town hall meeting and talk about it some more?
Okay. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta.
Yes, when I hear Mr. Joes talk, I hear taxes, and that makes me nervous. When I hear Mr. Luna talk, I don't think talking about it is going to help. So I believe we need to get more aggressive when it comes to lighting and landscaping. We got to find the funding somewhere. I do not want my residents taxed. I don't want to be taxed. I get taxed enough. And so there's got to be ways to do it. For example, could we put or add any kind of assessment or any tax assessment to the new developments that are coming in? For example, the new people that are coming in, you pay a little extra because you want to live here. Sorry, everybody else gets grandfathered in. The people who are not paying lighting and landscaping is the older neighborhoods, the ones that can't even afford it, and I believe that's Los Serranos. So I don't even see how they would pay any kind of tax because it's mostly low income. So definitely we got to get creative, but we got to do something. We've been skirting this issue now for how long? I mean, 20 years? What are we going to do? We got to do something. Build up our commercial base. I keep saying that. I know we're trying, but we got to do better.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question will start with Gabriel DeLuna. Parking at Chaparral Elementary School is challenging. What are you going to do to fix school traffic congestion and parking?
I'm there every morning. I see it myself. It's a really stressful traffic situation. In this particular situation, I'm glad to be in communication with the leadership over at Chapel Elementary School, and we're already working on getting things resolved to not have any more incidents like we had here recently where someone was hit by a car in front of Chaparral Elementary School. Communication is key. I'm going to say it over and over and over again, but communication is key. So parents, the school, the local neighborhood, we can work together and not have anyone else hurt or be in an unsafe situation.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell Arietta.
I think it's critical that when you're on the city council to work with other public agencies like the school board. We have to work closely with the school board. This is a critical issue that needs to be addressed. We need to form some type of committee between the school board and the city council to address these particular issues. We can bring in the neighborhood at that point, have parents come in and tell us what those issues are. We can conduct a traffic study to see if we can address some of those issues through these traffic studies. There are numerous ways we can address it, but we have to work with other public agencies.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I don't think Chaparral is unique. Every elementary school parking is horrendous. It's like Mad Max out there with dropping off kids, people darting across the street. We need parents to be responsible. I see it at Wickman Elementary. We need people to pay attention with how you are taking care of your children. I've spoken with the principal there. We've had select enforcement. A lot of it really comes down to parental responsibility and people stepping up and making sure that their kids are safe. But also, as a city council, we step up. We split the difference with the school district when it comes to crossing guards. That's a city commitment that we find value in. The safety of students and the safety of parents is vital. And I know I've heard from parents at the beginning of school when they feel, hey, why are there more sheriff's deputies here? Why are we getting ticketed? It's because we want you to think. We want you to think when you're dropping off your kids, hey, is this the safest way to go about doing that? Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell Arietta, you are first on the next question, which is, what will you do to ensure neighborhood safety at the new Los Serranos Park?
That's similar to the other question. We have to continue with looking at our sheriffs, whether we need to hire more. My understanding there still isn't enough, so we need to perhaps look at more funding in that area. Also, the video surveillance issue, neighborhood watch. I don't think we have any of those out there in Los Serranos. I've seen maybe a couple, but not enough, not prevalent. It's not prevalent. And you see that in other neighborhoods. We need to work on that. And I don't know how the city can reach out to those neighborhoods, but if each neighborhood could form a little neighborhood watch, I think that would be great.
All right, I know one of the technologies that the city is going to be evaluating is what Ms. Mitchell Arietta mentioned, is a video surveillance system that can be monitored. Because if you've never seen that parcel, it's gigantic. You could really get lost in there in the middle of the night, and the last thing we want is anything that would be a challenge to public safety. And then to piggyback on the neighborhood watch program, at our council meeting last night, we discussed this. Please contact the police department if your neighborhood, or your street or your little section of a neighborhood wants one. The best defense against crime are you. It's paying attention. It's looking out for your neighbor. If you are bordering the new park, keeping an eye out over the back fence. We need residents that are responsible for their own safety and for the safety of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuna.
I'm happy this question came up because it directly affects me and my neighbor that's here in the audience tonight. The very furthest part of the park, the back corner, is right behind our back fence. So we brought it up 2 years ago that we were very concerned about people not doing the wisest things in the park right behind our back fence area. So I'm happy to say that I started a Facebook group for Los Serranos. Me and my neighbors keep in contact with each other about anything going on in the neighborhood. So I feel that we can, as a Los Serranos community, make sure that the park is going to be as safe as possible because we have an eye out for each other.
Okay. Mr. Joes, you are first on the next question, which is a specific neighborhood question. On the freeway, 71 freeway during evening commute time, we find a continuous stream of vehicles exiting at the Pine exit, making it difficult for residents to turn left out of the development, Pinehurst, to enter the 71 North. What do you see as some options for to ease this congestion?
It's a great question. We, in the near future, we've talked about partnering with other agencies. We are going to be partnering with Caltrans on additional off-ramps. I know Sokol Canyon specifically is going to be coming up in the future, in the very near future. I'm not sure if Pine is on the list, but it's certainly something that we can do because we have a great relationship with Caltrans right now. And I think that begs the question of, do we want to connect with Pine Avenue or not? I think it's a double-edged sword for us. So many of the, my God, if you know how many people are going to be moving to Ontario in the near future, it's mind-boggling. And I fear that a connection of Pine Avenue to the 71 is just going to put those additional people onto our streets. Traffic's already horrendous enough. If we can be very careful with the extension or with the connection, it's the best way to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuna.
The question again?
On the 71 freeway during evening commute time, we find a continuous stream of vehicles exiting at the Pine exit, making it difficult for residents to turn left out of the development and Pinehurst to enter 71 North. And what do you see as some options to ease this congestion?
I know that this question came up because I spoke with the residents in that area specifically, and they're having a problem exiting to make a left turn to go to the 71 freeway. But the reason why people are exiting Pine is because they're making a right turn to go down to Butterfield Ranch Road, to make a left turn, to go down to Euclid, to head out east. And the whole situation there is just mind-boggling at both 5 o'clock in the afternoon and early in the morning. A simple answer for that intersection is to have a street light there, but don't continue the Pine Avenue to connect with Chino at all.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, Arietta.
Yes, well, clearly we have to work with other public agencies, as Mr. Cho indicated, Caltrans is one. We're going to have to address the issue. I don't agree in extending Pine either. I think that we're already a pass-through city. We don't want to make it even worse. And of course, traffic studies, they need to keep, we need to keep doing them. We're going to have to do a traffic study. I don't know if a light would help or not. I have no idea. But working with other public agencies, seeking out funding through the state and federal would be the best approach.
Okay, we are getting down to the last couple of questions, and the next one we'll start with you, Gabriel DeLuna. With new residential and commercial development continuing in Chino Hills, there has been a growing awareness by residents that some development is acceptable and some is not. What type of development in your mind is needed, and where should we build it in the future?
There's only so much space that we have left. We've already mentioned earlier that we're near build out. But in the discussions I've had with residents, it really seems like we can use some senior housing. One of the things I wanted to bring up earlier is a lot of our residents, a lot of my neighbors are questioning why a hotel was put next to the high school. In our minds, not just me, but a lot of us have said, well, instead of a hotel, why not have senior housing there? And that way our seniors won't have to move out of state rather than stay right here in Chino Hills. Because that's what people are doing. People are retiring and moving out of state right now. I don't want that to continue.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell, Arietta.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. With new residential and commercial development continuing in Chino Hills, there has been a growing awareness by residents that some development is acceptable and some is not. What type of development in your mind is needed, and where should we build it in the future?
Okay, well, first of all, I don't want any more residential development. I think I've been saying that for several years. I think we're done now. I wasn't in favor of the Irvine look over at south of Chino Hills, but we have it now, and we're addressing the traffic issues. We need to just stop. High density needs to stop. Let's start there. We need to focus on what we have. We need to, anything, increase our commercial base. Perhaps take a look at where we can do that in our city. I think that would be the wisest approach. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I think I'm going to echo what everybody else says. I think we really need to be critical of, of additional housing. I think we need to stick with the general plan. We need to work with property owners, because empty lots, guess what? Somebody owns them, and they're zoned for a certain use. That's where, as a city council, we need to be critical. We need to scrutinize these things. We need to make sure that if it is going to be developed, that it does mesh with our neighborhoods. We need to be critical, because I think at some point prior councils weren't as critical as we needed. I know, when Ms. Mitchell was on the council in 2004, she changed zoning off of Butterfield from commercial to high density residential. So. June 22nd, 2004. I'm like that.
Not really sure why you're focusing on me, Mr. Jones, but okay, I'll let you.
You have the record on city council.
Oh, okay, and you've looked through it.
Yeah.
How much time have you taken to do that?
A good amount, because I can
You should
name
take that
dates.
time to
Mr.
walk
Jones,
the
time.
precinct.
I did.
Okay, you should take your
Thank
time to
you.
do that. That's more.
Thank you.
productive.
Rosanna Mitchell, Arietta, you are going first for the next question. What is your plan to promote and attract new business and promote business growth in the city of Chino Hills?
Well, let's start. We need to work with our Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Let's start there. Woo! And we need to build it. Let's make it bigger. I know that they went through a revamp. It was kind of like a lull. And then it went through a revamp. And so now it's starting to pick up. I see really good people like Seb. You're making it happen. But we need to grow. The Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce needs to grow, and we need to get more networking going. I believe that's going to generate more business. We also, and the cities we did a really good job promoting shopping at Chino Hills. We need to keep pushing that. I think that was a great idea. So those are my 2 comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
I think we really need to continue to work with the owners of shopping centers. It was a shame when Chino poached Best Buy from us. It's a shame. I went into Bevmo to purchase some items for our Rotary fundraiser a couple weeks ago. And guess what? They're leaving. They're leaving because they had a difficult time dealing with their property owner. The city, we stepped in to try to mediate it, and thankfully it's now a bank that owns it and not a problem owner. But it's continuing to be hands-on with our property owners and with businesses. We depend on you keeping your tax dollars in Chino Hills so much. You don't understand how much that Costco, helps, put deputies on the streets. So please continue to shop Chino Hills. We can always do a better job promoting it. So with Christmas coming, keep your money here, please. Thank you.
Mr. DeLuna.
Again, I believe it comes down to communication. Each group wants something out of the deal. The property owners want to have a certain amount of money that's coming to them, or they want to sell for a certain amount of money. Of course, the business that's coming in wants to make sure that they're going to be profitable, make sure that they're going to be able to last the long term, and we all hope that they will. and we want to be able to support a good business that wants to get started here in Chino Hills. What bothers me is that I've talked with possible business owners for Chino Hills, and specifically one that wanted to open up a pizza restaurant, and they really felt like there was too many hoops that they had to jump through. So let's work it out. Let's get together to find the solution that's going to work for all of us. Because in the end, we all want to have a great community where we could have local businesses that we could attend on a regular basis.
Thank you. We are now down to our final question before we will move on to closing statements. We'll start the final question with you, Mr. Joes. The question is open-ended. What makes you the best and most qualified candidate for District 4?
I would say it's my elected experience so far. Twice being elected to the Chino Valley Independent Fire District Board of Directors and the oversight of their budget, and then now having been appointed to the City Council and serving for over a year on the City Council has really given me an insight into how we actually operate. It's not the necessarily the theoretical of reading a city budget. It's being in the trenches. It's being a part of closed session and knowing how things work. It's interacting with all of you as, with that relationship from a resident to a council member. It's been certainly a whirlwind for 1 year to balance, a full-time job, 2 little kids, Cub Scout leader, and city council, but I've been able to do it. What's the joke? If you want to get something done, ask the busiest person you know. I appreciate being busy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuna.
People that know me know that I'm a quiet person. But the important thing is I speak up when it's necessary. I speak up when it's important enough. But for the most part, I'm not a talker, I'm a listener. I will listen to what the city needs, and I will listen to what our residents are asking for and what they're worried about and what they're fearful of. In regards to time, I know that I have the time necessary to be able to go out there and talk with people and work on these solutions that will make Chino Hills better. I make my own schedule. I'll take your call. Even if it's 9 o'clock at night, we could talk together.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell Arietta.
Yes. I think my skills and abilities in my business and also my experience makes me more qualified than the 2 gentlemen next to me. I am a business owner. I run about a $1 million law firm, and so I know what it is about that, which is critical when you run a city, because you deal with finances. And along with that, even though I do not live in the district with as long as both these gentlemen do, my clients come from Los Fronts. The majority of my clients are Hispanic. I've been on the city council as a councilwoman, even if it was for 8 months. I've served on the school board for 4 years. I have been president of Dog Park. That's my big thing lately. We're going to have a Halloween event. I hope everybody goes. It's so much fun. And I've been a civic leader at whatever it is, whatever cause there may be, regardless of title, regardless of whether I've been on the council or not. I will continue to be involved. So I'm very passionate. So if you want someone passionate to represent you and you want a voice, vote for Rosanna Mitchell Arietta. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes our question and answer portion of the program. We're now at the final stage of the program, which will be closing statements. Each of you may take up to 2 minutes to make your final statement this evening. And again, Eric will keep tabs on the time for you. And we will go in reverse order of our original order. Start with Mr. DeLuna, then Mr. Joes, and then Mrs. Mitchell Arietta. So, Mr. DeLuna.
Going through all this is a lot of work. I know that being on the city council is going to be a lot of work. And it's going to be cooperating a whole bunch. Communication is key. We need to put safety first. We don't want to have so much building, and we want to really have this city continue to be the city that we loved when we moved here from other areas. My fear is that the city is at a turning point right now. A lot of residents are fearful and worried that the city might head into the wrong direction of becoming just another crowded city or just another busy city. We don't want it to become that. We need to work together, city residents, all of us together, to make sure that this is going to continue to be the Chino Hills that we love. I'm doing this for the residents that, drive an hour or more. We are a commuter city. I'm doing this for the kids, the teachers. I'm doing this for the people. I'm not doing this for myself. I want to make that completely clear. I love this city, and when you love something, you do everything that you can to build on that relationship and really make a difference. I appreciate all of my supporters, and I appreciate your vote in this election.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
All right, thank you. Well, again, thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. Thank you to the residents for attending, and thank you to the residents that are watching. And also, thank you to the residents that submitted questions. Having voters that are engaged in our city really is what makes Chino Hills a special place. It's been an honor serving you on the City Council, and I'm asking for your vote to continue doing so. Like you, I want to see our city and its people prosper. Our quality of life is important and needs to be at the forefront of what the City Council does. And in my short year on the council, I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish and what we've been able to set in motion. As an active Chino Hills community member, you know me by both my actions and words. I want our residents to know that there is somebody that is on the City Council looking out for them in the 4th District. So again, thank you for this opportunity. To our residents, please feel free to call me if you ever like, 909-248-4225, or text me. I do it a lot. I've said this when I ran for fire board, didn't get any calls. But I encourage you to always reach out to me. I've got an open line of communication. I'm open to your questions and your concerns and your thoughts. Communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell-Arietta.
Yes, if I'm elected on the city council, I will have an open communication with my residents. I currently have in my business an extra phone, and essentially the phone is just there for my clients to text. So I think that's critical. Open communication is important, but access is more important. They want access to you at all times. And so I have done that in my business, and I plan to do the same if elected for the city council. Everyone who's out there knows me. I've been here since the first Healthy Steering Committee meeting, and I've enjoyed every part of it. I was Volunteer of the Month. I ran a mentor champion program, shadowing program for teenagers. I got involved with the 4th of July picnic when it was first starting. I've seen the inception of a lot of these programs that are awesome, and we've done a really great job bringing that sense of community. I would like to see that. I would like to see more of that lately. I don't see it. I think there's a lot of residents very unhappy with the council, very unhappy with the direction they've taken in regards to Tres Hermanos. Currently, it is zoned for commercial, and Mr. Jones was part of that vote, commercial, high density, and residential. And so that needs to be changed. And the residents are mad and they're concerned. They look at Irvine, which is south of the hills, and they say, this is not what I wanted. Where are my hills? I lost my view. There's so much that the residents say, but the council's not listening. If you want more of the same, Mr. Joe's the man. So, but if you want change, or you at least want another voice saying, wait a minute, are you guys doing the right thing? Then you vote for Rosanna Mitchell Arrieta. Your vote on your voice. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to the conclusion of our program. I would like to thank all of the candidates for being with us this evening. It's obvious by the information you shared that you are all committed to serving the city of Chino Hills. On behalf of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, we wish you all the very best in the upcoming election. I would like to take this time, I know the audience has maintained decorum for the most part, and would like to give all of our candidates a round of applause at this time. The Chamber would also like to thank the City of Chino Hills for graciously allowing us to use the City Council chambers for our forum tonight, and of course, Board Member Jim Gallagher for his assistance in helping us schedule and arrange for the forum here this evening. So that wraps it up for tonight. Good job, everyone. Please drive safely, and we'll see you next month at the election.